And welcome into To Your Health. You heard the old adage, dog is man's best friend. Well, you know, if you have a dog, they're very loyal to you. But there's an organization here that uses dogs to the maximum effect. It's called Service Dogs Alabama. And today we have with us, you're the founder of it, aren't you?
I'm one of the founders. I have a co-founder.
Okay. Frances McGowin?
Yes.
Service Dogs Alabama?
Yes.
If any of you have an organization and you want to have a program, call her. You put on wonderful programs to let people know what these service dogs actually do. They're lifesavers.
They are.
And they're life changers.
They are.
Yes.
They truly are. I mean, and we have a crisis, as you know, with our veterans and our veterans' families with PTSD.
Mm-hmm.
But did you know that PTSD is passed on to the next generation, that children who are raised with a parent who have PTSD are showing also the same symptoms as their parent that's raising them.
Wow.
Wow.
And so now, not only are we providing PTSD dogs for our veterans, but we're also providing PTSD dogs for their families. They're called military transitional assistance dogs, and they're trained to work with all family members and provide tasks that are related to PTSD in the home to all family members. So when the active duty or veteran is coming back and forth into the home, it stays more stable for everybody.
You know what? That makes sense to me.
Yes.
Doesn't it?
That makes good sense.
And what I'm amazed at is the fact that that dog will actually become a part of that person's life.
Oh, truly.
They understand that person. They can sense if a person is, if they're a diabetic and the blood sugar is getting out of line, you don't have to go prick your finger. The dog is going to let you know.
The dog is going to let you know, but we train our dogs in multiple layers.
Okay.
They start with just commands that would be considered obedience commands, although we have a specialized way of a deflector method of doing this. But we start with obedience. We move to body language. So the dogs are actually recognizing body language now and signs of anxiety so that they can stop it before it escalates into a panic attack. So, and then what we do is we start pairing the scent of adrenaline or cortisol changes, for instance, or blood sugar changes, hormonal changes in the body, with the body language. So now they can smell just about anything, psychological disorders as well as physical changes.
And you know, a lot of our viewers here have got grandchildren. One of the things that were, you know, when we were small, you never thought about a kid being like an autistic child or something. I don't even know when we were small what we called anything like that. But you actually have dogs that can help reverse that autism.
Well, you know, everything really is neurological brain science.
Yes.
Because if they are intercepting patterns or pattern loops in the brain that are consistently triggered by something and then play out into an expectation, which reinforces again the beginning of the whole loop. So if they are intercepting and stopping that from happening, redirecting the mind in the middle of the loop, then eventually the brain realizes it's not going to be able to do this anymore, and it has to create a new pattern in the brain, and your brain can literally rewire itself. So it makes brain changes occur in the veterans with PTSD, children with autism. It's a little bit different with seizure disorders and glucose or diabetes, but anything that's psychological that's happening. And even though glucose and seizures are medical occurrences or have medical symptoms in the body, they also have psychological ramifications.
True.
Right.
And so remember, they're treating the psychological ramifications as well as the physical disorder.
So is it any dog can be trained to become a service? No, it's got to be a specific dog, and you get them as a puppy.
Yes.
And then you take them to a stage, and then maybe some of our viewers could actually be involved with your organization,
sure they can.
where they would house the dog for a period of time.
Yes.
Before they're, for lack of a better word, graduate.
Well,
And
they have to be, the person has to be trained. We don't
Right.
just hand over
Right.
dogs.
A dog, right.
But we have, the dog goes through about 4 or 5 levels of training from the first 3 months of his life with a trained puppy raiser. So he's getting basic socialization and getting used to being in a home early. Then he is sent to a prison. And he works there one-on-one with an inmate for 4 or 5 months. He's brought back out and he's put with either professional trainers or trained socializers for another 3 months, where he practices everything he's done in the prison those first 6 months. Then he's sent back again to the prison to finish his task training, the specialization of his work, like alerting to diabetes, alerting to panic attacks. And then he comes back out again and goes to finishing training for anywhere from 2 months to another 5 months before he is transitioned to the person he will ultimately be with.
May I ask you this now? When he goes to the person with whom he's designated to be,
Yes.
is that normally a lifetime, for the lifetime of the dog?
It is,
Or
yes.
okay,
When he retires, they'll adopt him.
Wow.
okay.
That's
so he'll stay
amazing.
with him through the lifetime, his lifetime.
Well, Frances,
Wow.
thank you very much for getting this going. It's very needed.
Yes, it is.
Like I was telling the viewers early on, we're going to put up on the screen how people can get a hold of you to
Good.
either donate, because they do need money. You're
Right.
you're a nonprofit organization.
Yes.
Also to encourage, it's a wonderful program if you have them come speak to a group.
Oh, sure.
Yes, absolutely.
We'd be glad to.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having
Amazing.
us.
Thank you for what you do.
Oh, thank you.
And remember, like we say, dog is man's best friend. Give a dog a pat on the head today. You never know, he may come back to be your lifesaver. And we'll be right back right after this.